and welcome back to another episode of Love Island the morning after, the only official Love Island podcast. I'm Indiyah Polack.
And I'm Amy Hart, and we are here to dissect all the juicy gossip from last night's episode. And this morning, we're having our own little threesome because we're joined once again by the wonderful Maddie Grace Jepson.
Oh, guys, I'm just loving being here.
It lights up the place, doesn't it?
Oh.
In the morning.
So we were awaiting the outcome of the cliffhanger. Who was Harrison going to bring back? And we were all right because we all did predict Toni. So he brought the wonderful Toni back. She lived to see another day. The Islanders were really happy, especially the girls chanting, Toni,
I
Toni.
know. A minute's silence for Melisha though, because she
silence.
really did try hard.
She did.
And I feel like she did bombshell.
She did.
You know.
It's always a risk you take. You know, if you go in hard, it's going to go one way or the other. And it sadly didn't go the right way for her. She didn't even get her little chat at the end of the driveway.
She didn't even get a goodbye.
I was going to say
no one
that.
told
We
her to pack
never
her suitcase.
never
It
heard
was
from her
just-
again.
But she'll be on here at some point.
Yeah,
so
we
we'll hear
get
from her then. Harrison said his type is brunette, green eyes, and a bitch.
He
To be
likes
fair, he
bitchy
did
girls.
say that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he did mention like, oh, if one of my guys came over to him and was like, oh, that girl's a bit of a bitch, that would be a big
He
tip
likes
for
the
him.
challenge. I get the impression that he likes a girl that doesn't want to give it all away at first,
Yeah.
and then he likes to soften them up, break down those walls.
What is that about? I feel like quite a lot of guys kind of like that.
But it's kind of the same way girls like to try and turn the bad boy good.
I can
Do you know what I
check-
mean?
yeah, I know
it's that,
him.
yeah, it's the power you have over someone, isn't it?
Yeah, to be
It's
fair.
Do you think Toni and him have legs? Obviously, they've got legs. But do you think like their relationship has legs? Do you think they will be together? Or do you think his head will get turned for someone else?
They've definitely got good chemistry, but he's new, and I do feel like he owes it to himself to get to know the other girls. We saw him have a really nice chat with Shakira. Toni and Shakira are good friends, so I wonder how that's going to pan out because I do feel like Shakira and Ben are a little bit, we saw that kind of going a little bit rocky this episode as well. So who knows? But I think for now, they're getting on really well, and it's really nice to see Toni have a connection with somebody and get on with them.
I think it's when their chats will sort of bridge into more meaningful, because at the moment it's just this really sexy,
It's-
I'm
yeah,
a
yeah.
bitch and feeding the strawberries and all that sort of stuff. And then the role play of the Vegas cabana situation and stuff. Whereas they haven't really got onto what are your values, what's your family set up,
100%.
sort of what do you want to do in the future.
Yeah.
And I think he sort of had more meaningful conversations with the other girls than he has with Toni. I think with Toni it is very flirty, surface level. So I hope they do get there because I love Toni and I want her to meet someone.
Yeah, I think they'll break that barrier. It's early days. And I think when you really fancy someone and you see things going somewhere, I feel like you usually do the whole flirting thing first. Obviously, he's not really trying to pursue the girls as much. So maybe he's trying to be a bit more serious and not come across as too overbearing.
Meg and Helena said that they would be open to getting to know him, to give the boys a taste of their own medicine. What do we think of that?
Look, we're in week 2 now. Meg and Helena should have been open because I think their boys have been making it very clear that they are also open. I don't think it should
Wide
be a game of spite or, let's give them a taste of their own medicine because quite frankly, the boys don't care.
No.
The boys really don't care. In fact, if Meg and Helena do crack on, I think they will jump for joy.
They said, didn't they? They
Yeah.
said it
They
would
wanted
some
them
leverage.
to. Yeah. They were literally we want them to go and chat to Harrison so that we can crack on with the other girls.
I think that's kind of the worst position to be in. I feel like as a lady, you should never, ever make a guy feel like, oh God, I just wanted to crack on so I could do my own thing. They're not keeping the boys on their toes enough. Meg, she's underneath Dijon, and I feel like that gives him the ammo to have these threesome conversations and be flirty because he likes it when she gets a bit what are you doing? Oh my God,
I feel like he's enjoying that little bit.
Yeah, they need
And
to. They need to.
I see the threesome conversation as a completely different thing, and maybe I'm being naive. The whole thing in the kitchen, I thought that was a bit of a joke, and Yasmin only really has, that we've seen, one sort of genre of joke, shall we say. It's all very sexual. So I think he said, you both look really nice. And she's like, do you want a threesome with us? That day they talked about the fact that he'd had 20 threesomes with the same girls, just make that clear.
Yeah.
So I think that was a joke. And then I think them sitting by the side of the pool, having a normal conversation, and then it goes into, what turns you on? What kind of stuff do you like in bed type of thing? Would you have a threesome? Toni talked about what threesome she had. If it had been Yasmin and Dijon up on the terrace or in the hideaway, and she's like, so what turns you on then? I think that is different to the three of them sat in a random place in the villa. I don't think there's anything behind it, and I don't think Meg has anything to worry about. We're in Love Island, for God's sake.
Well, then also, we've seen the evidence that that's all Yasmin really does kind of find herself talking about is sexual topics. So actually maybe it isn't that deep. That's just how she seems to like connect.
Yeah, I don't think
the boys.
it's,
I don't know.
I agree. I don't think it's that serious at all. And even when Meg pulled Dijon and Yasmin over for a little chat, it was like a little meeting that's happened maybe about...
It was a disciplinary meeting.
It was a disciplinary
It was.
meeting. Tony literally sat there and said, well, we're not going to flip and have a threesome, are we? Like, it's clearly just a jokey conversation. At the end of the day, it is Love Island. What is Love Island if you can't have a little flirt? I understand Meg does have her boundaries, which is fair, but I feel like from the first conversation, it's very quite obvious it's not going anywhere. But obviously the line does get drawn when Meg starts getting upset and she's letting Dijon know, look, I don't appreciate conversation, so let's not do it.
I think having the flirty conversation is not the issue. It's how Dijon will go back to Meg and be like, but you're my Meg. And blah, blah, blah. And then she's telling him, but those conversations make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's all kind of getting blurred because he's like, well, we're open, but then don't call her your Meg and, you know, all these things and feeding all this into her head, because I think that's where she's getting confused and irate because she thinks, well, I'm his Meg, but then he's going and talking about threesomes and that makes me uncomfortable and he's not respecting that. So it's just a huge miscommunication. There's nothing wrong with him having a flirt.
Yeah.
But like, don't be like, my Meg, my Meg. You know,
I'm getting annoyed with all this, like, we're open, my Meg, etc. I'm nostalgic for the days when people would go like all in by week 2 and then mess it up and then have their head turned, but at least we knew where we stood. Like, I hate all this, like, we're open but we're not. But
it would almost actually be better if he was just like, I'm in it with you and then just effed up.
But like, he doesn't want to be though. And I like, as the viewer, we can now see what kind of woman Meg is. She's a little bit more on the sensitive side. I think she wears her heart on her sleeve. I feel like the average person wouldn't take the whole term my Meg as like a proposal.
Maybe.
But she's taking that as in, now you called me my Meg, we're locked up.
I will say, we're around like day 10, aren't we, what we're watching? 240 hours. If you'd spent 240 hours with someone, when you're dating someone, you might see them for 4 hours the first week, 8 hours second week, maybe 2 dates, might have a sleepover with them, that's another 12. By 240 hours, you're talking like 3 months in.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
By the time you spent 240 hours with
bed as
someone,
well.
you know whether you're in it or not, I personally think.
100%, 100%.
Agreed. We said we wouldn't like our man talking about threesomes with other girls.
No. It's quite sexual. It's just uncomfortable.
It's
Like,
uncomfortable.
It's just really uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable when you fancy somebody and they're talking about that. So I kind of see it, but also she is like every single thing he's doing, she's got a problem with. So it's like there's just no balance at the minute, I think. They're just getting lost in translation.
See, I wouldn't care, which will surprise a lot of people after my performance on Love Island. Like, if it was in a group conversation, I wouldn't actually care because I'd be like, that's funny. Obviously, if they're with someone up on their own talking about, like, do you want to have a threesome with me?
Yeah.
Like,
literally.
that's
But if it's jokey comments, I personally wouldn't care.
Maybe if Meg was a part of the conversation, it would
But
make
I
her feel
think-
more comfortable.
I think the difference is I feel very, very secure in my relationship, whereas probably when I was on Love Island, I didn't feel like Meg doesn't feel. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
She feels threatened and I think she can feel that she's going to lose him.
Week 1 of Love Island has been full of both twists and gorge pre-love fits from eBay. With so much to unpack, I'm here to bring you up to speed with all the fashion goss straight from the villa. Our brand new bunch are settling in and serving some serious looks. Alima kicked it off in a stunning Wonder Doll co-ord worn previously by All Stars 2, Gabby and Elma, while Connor ticked all the boxes in his Nike Air Maxes. Freshly sealed with eBay's authenticity guarantee, may I add. Finally, all eyes were on Harry, starting off the week in an Axel Arigato jacket worn by Harry G in Series 11's Floral Party and All Stars 2, Sammy, then turning heads for the right reasons in those amazing Supreme and Liberty trousers. Just goes to show, pre-loved always slays. If you're ready to get those heads turning too, shop your next villa-inspired outfit on eBay. Sponsors of Love Island.
All right, so we also saw a little dispute, we say, between Ben and Shakira. Ben got his knickers in a little twist because Harrison pulled Shakira for a chat, and to Ben, he felt like the conversation was a little bit longer than usual. His feelings were up in the air, and he was like, well, what? What does this mean? Are you interested? Like, I don't know where your feelings lie. I don't know where your boundaries lie.
He wanted an answer right then and there.
Yeah.
Give me the answer.
I think it's a little rich coming from Ben. He's been quite flirtatious himself. He's had a few chats and stuff like that. I don't really see the issue. Like, Harrison is a 24-hour-old bombshell. He's pulling Shakira for a chat just to get to know her. It does not mean he wants to get down on one knee and Shakira's going to say yeah.
I also think Shakira should have really leaned into the fact of, like, Tony's my best friend. I'm happy with you. So if Harrison wants to get to know Tony, I'm going to leave them be, because I think that was what Shakira would do. And like, you haven't got to be a body language expert to see that she was literally
She
like
was,
a little pencil next to him.
What do you think, Maddie?
I feel like the interrogation was a bit much. I said this when we were watching it, like he obviously likes her a lot. He does. And we can see that through the fact he's getting a little bit jealous, but he's like not communicating that in a healthy way. Like I wish he would just be like, oh, I'm feeling the type of way about that because I really like you.
Yeah.
Because actually that would then make her feel like, that's nice. But then it went the opposite way because he chose to make it this like interrogation and this like really defensive, high stakes conversation. It just didn't need to be that. And I think that's where it all went wrong. Because actually, if he'd just been honest and been like, oh, well, yeah, of course, you're allowed to get to know him, but like, that makes me feel a type of way because I really like you.
Yeah.
Like, that's really flattering. I think it could have so easily have gone that way.
Yeah,
and
I
she
agree.
didn't like that she felt questioned and controlled. And then she didn't like that it felt like it was a game. He enjoyed seeing her being a bit
She was doing the sick
fiery.
noises.
Yeah.
Makes you feel,
Yeah. I agree with the whole, Ben could have communicated his feelings a lot better. But there's nothing more that I hate when like someone has an issue. And instead of like addressing the issue, you're now trying to come for my character. Because he sat there and said about Shakira, oh, I just feel like you're really flirtatious and you have no boundaries. Where did you get that from? Is it because she's gorgeous and guys fancy her? Now you're looking at other things and you're calling me out on things that aren't true because you have an issue. But it's not about me being flirtatious or you think I have no boundaries. Otherwise, she wouldn't be with me. You know?
Also, out of everyone, Shakira has been the one who has made it clear what her intentions are with literally everyone. Like when, when Blue kissed her in the hideaway, and then she came back out and was like the next day, I need to go and tell Blue that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But, she's been the one that's been honest. She's been like so transparent with everyone. So he should know that's her character.
And also, it just reiterates this like narrative that like a man and a woman can't just have a friendly conversation without it being like this flirting. It's like, no, what if they just got on really well? Like, it's just frustrating to watch because people can be friends in there too. So, I don't know. Hopefully it works out. She wasn't happy, was she?
No.
She wasn't happy. I mean,
She was...
we have tonight to find
Gave
out.
her the ick, which is fair.
But, I feel like if Ben and Shakira are going to go the long way, like he said at the start of this season, he is actually there to find love and better himself. He does really need to take Shakira's advice and everyone around him. He needs to not really get in his own head so much and be a bit more open to finding love and understanding what it means to actually like be in a relationship with somebody, Your other half is going to speak to the opposite sex and it doesn't mean that they're in love with them.
Yes, exactly.
Now, for a good 5 minutes, beginning of the episode, I thought Harry and Helena were back on track. But no, Yasmin's turned up now. So Harry and Yasmin went for a chat on the terrace.
The terrace was crazy.
That's true Yasmin fashion.
Yeah.
I think Yasmin has really made it clear what kind of girl she is and what game she is here to play.
Yeah.
And she's doing it. She's sticking to her book.
Yeah.
So how are you thinking we could get a bit more adrenaline up in here?
No trouble.
The eye contact was there. Sexual conversations were there.
Straight sitting.
And the straight sitting. And they weren't saying much, but they were saying a lot.
Yeah, talking through the eyes.
Yeah. And he
Yeah,
said, you're
and-
trying to undress me with your eyes.
Yeah, and then did you catch him say like, oh, I love it when we catch eyes across the fire pit and it makes me want to pick you.
You wouldn't say that if Helena was around.
No.
Like, calm down.
I feel like he would
No.
though, but he just says things just for effect. He's like, yeah, I would
Yeah.
have picked you. I don't think he would have done. It's
Agreed.
Just, I think he just loves to really rile everyone up.
He got
Whether it
caught
be
up
in a
in
good
that
way
flirt.
or a bad
Yeah.
way.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, yeah, I'm like the nice girl next door.
what I
Like,
mean.
I'm like the devil, but I'm honest. Yeah,
Quite like to dance with the devil, maybe.
everyone does, don't they?
I would quite like to
dance
dance with
with
the devil. And she said, I'll spin you around.
They got to know nothing about each other.
No.
Yeah, it was just unprovoked flirting. And I know that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
It was so intense for no
Unsolicited for
reason.
us.
Yeah, it was like, I didn't actually ask for this.
There was
Like,
no, what's your middle name?
Have you got any
Like,
brothers or
when's your
sisters?
birthday? No, none of that. Just pure flirt.
Helena crept down to like listen at the bottom, didn't she? I'm not sure exactly what she heard, but she didn't seem that like annoyed by. I think she's come to realise that's maybe what she signed up for.
Yeah, I think Helena, obviously we did see in the challenge last night with the whole kissing and we'll get into that. But I think Helena is not bothered that much about the situation because I think it's been a long time coming now and Harry has shown her completely what he's about. And she wouldn't be a fool, but she would be very naive to sit there and turn around and be like, oh God, I didn't know this was going to happen. Because Harry has given her every single sign that it absolutely is.
I think it'll be really interesting to see if like a bombshell comes in at one point and really goes for her and Harry's reaction, because they haven't had that yet, like where he's had to see her like cracking on with somebody else. She's had to watch him kind of
he's not been kept on his toes.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And he did say to Dejan that he would kiss her that night. And luckily for him, there was a game. So at the end of last night's episode, we had beer pong. It was giving me flashbacks to Vegas night. I knew something was going to go down, but it wasn't quite what we had at Vegas night. But Dejan snogged Yasmin, which was
like 9 times.
Bold choice.
It was kiss somebody that you're not in a couple with, that
who
you
you
find
find
attractive or most attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, considering the whole threesome conversation, it's very obvious that there is some sort of sexual chemistry there. But again, bold from him to do it in the challenge.
I mean, I personally think Dejan is looking for any way out with Meg, because I think the girl that you're with is upset about you having chats with this person. Surely you'd go and kiss Megan or Shakira on the cheek and be like...
Can I interject and say that is what, we would like to see and what Meg would like. But if Dejan didn't do that,
we wouldn't have anything to talk about.
We would have nothing to talk about. And also, I don't think he'd be being true to himself.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes you do have to put yourself first, and it is an awkward situation to be in. But if he keeps doing the same thing and going back to Meg, when truly he wants to explore, he's being a little bit bait.
He clearly is not that into Meg.
He's not
No.
He's
He's just not that into you. Talking of Meg, she acted out her favourite sex position with Harrison.
Yes,
but
on
then
the belly,
gave the
leg
game
up.
away.
Come on. The question was, who do you think is best in bed? That was her cue to be like, I think Harrison's going to be right, whatever.
Yeah.
She was like upset and stuff, but Meg is Meg, and she's not going to like act differently just because Dejan is, She didn't really want to do it. She did to get back at him, so...
Then Yasmin snogged Dejan again because he had the softest lips. When they asked her why, she said, because when he kissed me, he had great lips. Which,
Mind
I mean,
you,
where's the lie? Like,
he has great lips, but mind you, she has kissed Shay before and he was standing right there.
I
I
know.
know. Shay had to shake the hand of the islander who's playing the biggest game.
He did, yeah.
He shook Yasmin's hand, and then they said to her, "But are you happy in your couple?" And she's like, "Yes, I am."
Yes, I am.
And then that's when Meg called her out and was like, well, you say that you're happy in your couple, but you've kissed everyone apart from the person you're coupled up with.
Yeah.
And she's like, "It's a game."
It's a game. She's like, that's your opinion. You know what? I think a lot of people will have things to say about Yasmin and, maybe her not being a girl's girl and her focusing a lot on the boys and stuff. But I must say, it's pretty iconic.
She is being iconic.
She's being iconic. Like, people won't forget her.
Yeah,
and
she's
I think
leaving her mark.
it is very important in the Love Island villa to value friendships and to make friends. But I think she's doing a brilliant example of sticking to her playbook of, you know what, I'm not here for friends, I'm here for the guys.
She is standing on business.
She
You've got to give her
is.
that.
Yeah.
But then what happens when 3 weeks' time, the islanders have got to decide who's going home and
Exactly.
you're still at the fire pit and you've made no effort with anyone and you've got no one in your corner. I mean, to be fair, in 3 weeks' time, hundreds of things will have happened.
Yeah.
And, she could have loads of friends by then.
Yeah.
But I do think it is important as well. Like,
Very.
I always remember they used to say at the beginning, like, you've got 8 weeks to convince, like, the public and your fellow islanders. And I think that is such an important part of, it's a game show at the end of the day. It is a game.
Yeah, and that's what
it
she's
is
playing
about,
the
like,
game.
building bridges as well. And at the moment, she is just burning bridges.
She is. And, I think she did make a fair point. She said, I think people play it too safe in the games. And I thought, yeah, that's fair enough. But like you're saying, Amy, I feel like, what's she going to do when she's got no girlfriends? Which I hope doesn't happen. But the way it's going.
What happens when Shay isn't interested in her anymore? Harry inevitably goes back to Helena. Dejan and Meg potentially make things up. And then all the boys she's been trying to graft with aren't interested, and then all the girls aren't interested in being her friend. Like, you've got to be there for yourself. It's Love Island, not Friend Island. However, you sometimes have to look at the bigger picture. But we loved watching it, so
It was brilliant TV.
Like, it was great to
watching
watch.
it.
And if she'd just kissed the Shay every time, we'd have been like, this is so boring.
It'd have been so boring. And quite frankly, I don't think she even wants to kiss Shay anymore.
He kind of called her out on the fact that maybe she cracked on with me to stay here, and she kind of went, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. I love how Megan was like, she didn't deny it. She's like, just making it clear to anyone that may not have been aware, she didn't deny it.
I think it's quite funny because I feel like, obviously, with the whole threesome situation happening between Meg, Toni, and Yasmin is using her every power to wind Meg up. And Meg is so irritated by Yasmin. You can literally see it. And Yasmin's just like, well, I'm going to kiss Dijon again.
Dejon had some beef with Harrison as well.
Yeah.
Because he had to high-five the
Eye roll.
islander he wouldn't miss. And Harrison was like, you come and then why? And he was like, and to be fair, he said, like, I don't know you, so I wouldn't miss you. But it was in such like...
There was a bit of tone, wasn't there? It was a little bit sour.
Don't know you, bro.
Don't know you. It's got nothing to do with Meg.
And
Don't know
it
you.
just happened to be after he'd done the sex position with Meg. So he wasn't happy about that. We all saw his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, boys are so funny. Don't know you, bro.
That's what baffles me about some men, because Dijon can't wrap his head around why Meg is so bothered about these threesome conversations and about him being so sexual with the other girls and flirting. But the minute that she does a sex position with somebody else who she's clearly not interested in, you got a little bit saltier.
Exactly. That's what's frustrating for me to watch, because I'm just like, he likes to just know that he's got Meg. I want her to stand on business and like talk to the other boys. Like just go and do something, show him that like you're not sticking around and just going to be there like wrapped around his little finger, because right now she is. Like she's completely wrapped around his finger.
Because she said, I'm not your Meg. I'm not your Meg.
Oh.
Yes, you are.
I don't believe that yet. I want her to stand up, Meg.
Dejon said that's a big statement.
So he was like, that's dark. It's really dark.
dark.
So
That's
dark.
It's so dramatic.
All right, it's not that dark.
That's dark.
So this is what I'm saying. No, but this is what I'm saying.
Meg said not your Meg. That ain't dark.
Meg is seeing the whole my Meg is like this big proposal. And then for her to turn around and be like, I'm not your Meg. That's so dark.
He says
so...
one thing and then gets like peed off that she's like said, I'm not your Meg. Like, oh my God.
What's dark about it?
Dark.
Like, it's very light, actually.
It reminds me a bit of Nicole and Kieran from last year. And I feel like we could be here in 6 weeks' time being like, and then Meg went and cried because the new bombshell came in and said hi to Dejon. And he said hi. And she thought they were going to have a threesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like this could rumble on and on.
Agreed.
To Meg and Dijon.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of screen time and a lot of conversation from us. So, hey. So during the game, we also did see a snog between Yasmin and Harry. So the question was, snog the person that you could speak to all day. Shock, she snogged Harry. And her reason being was like, look, we had a conversation on the terrace and I really enjoyed it. What do we think about that?
Well, he said, so did I.
Yeah, I heard that under his breath, which I thought was a little cheeky.
But I'm like, what did you talk about?
Sex.
You talked about vaginas and willies. But like, do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't feel there's any substance there.
No.
I think it's purely based on like a sexual chemistry thing, which is fine. And also, Harry did say, I'm going to kiss her tonight. And I feel like it could have only really have happened in that game setting.
Yeah.
So.
And it would, of course, be the 30-second kiss, wouldn't it?
And they were
Exactly.
going for ages.
Helena kept shouting, 30.
It's done. Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
I do think, though, Harry's on this like weird like country dancing, like everyone move one place to the left, because he had Shakira, who was like the substance, and then Helena was the flirty. And I feel like everyone's moved up one place. So now Helena is like his, shares a bed with, like has like nice chats with, has cuddles on the day within the day. They hang out together. And then Yasmin's who he takes up to the terrace.
Yasmin deserves more than that.
Way
as well.
more.
She does.
So
Way
like, I
does.
want her to realise that. Like, she deserves way more than being just the one that they have sexual banter with.
Yeah.
And they can go back and snuggle with their real girl at night and kiss and cuddle. And then
totally
it's
agree.
so demeaning for her too.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
hope that she finds like a proper connection.
Yeah.
It'll be
something.
interesting to see if it's any of the boys that are in there now.
I know.
Or whether it'll be someone else that comes in, because I do feel like she sort of needs someone new, because like you say, they've all got their sort of like wifeys,
Yeah.
and then she is like the bit of fun. I can go to have this like fun sexual conversation, and the girls will apart from Meg, the girls will let them get away with it.
by the looks of it, it's just sort of like now she's given all these guys these flirty conversations. It's going to be hard to now try and reverse that. After
Yeah.
being so sexual so soon, to now try and reverse that and be like, oh no, actually, I want to have a serious conversation with you.
Yeah,
So-
I know.
Well, ladies, unfortunately, it's that time again.
What?
It's time to go home and enjoy the rest of the day.
But it's always tomorrow.
And you guys, thank you so much for joining in. And don't forget to watch the first look in the morning.
And leave us a comment or drop us an email at themorningafter@itv.com. See you tomorrow.
Bye.